Hello, everyone, and welcome to the semifinals of the StarCityGames.com Season 2 Invitational here at SCGCon winner. Gerard, Fabiano, Andrew Jessup is our match in front of us, as we're going to watch Jun do battle against Ironworks. Fabiano, number 5 overall seed. Jessup, the number 8, so Fabiano will be on the play, and he's going to kick things off. With the discard spell, it'll be Thoughtseize. He takes a look at Andrew Jessup's hand. There's an Island and Inventor's Fair, Clan Ironworks, Ichor Wellspring, Pirate Spellbomb, and Terrarian among his hand. To note, this Ironworks deck, which we're going to see more of next round too in the hands of Austin Collins, very resilient and very redundant.
Yes.
It's part of what makes it so powerful and able to more or less get through its entire deck, even in the face of discard.
Wow. That is a strong take from Gerard Fabiano that Thoughtseize taking away the Pirate Spellbomb. If he has a Nihil Spellbomb in hand, he can take away one of Andrew Jessup's only real viable ways to win the game in Game 1. But I think this mostly just signifies that he has a Dark Confidant about to come down on turn 2.
Now, Andrew does he have multiple spell bombs?
He only has one Pirate Spellbomb. He has supplanted that with one Madex Psy Master Thopterus.
Okay.
But you can also do some really cool stuff with Spine of Ishsaw, where you go semi-infinite, blow up your opponent's entire side of the battlefield, and then just beat them down with your 4 copies of Scraptrawler.
Fair enough. So, Pirate Spellbomb hits the bin, clearing the way for the Dark Confidant, as you predicted there, Todd. So Dark Confidant is on the battlefield. For Andrew Jessup, he kicked things off with a Terrarian off of an Inventor's Fair. So Dark Confidant looking to provide some card advantage. Jessup's going to follow things up with a Forest. That was the other card that was in his hand during that Thoughtseize. And crack, it looks like a Terrarian, potentially.
Yeah, this feels kind of like a desperation or maybe even a mitigation attempt here, Andrew. Odds are Gerard's going to play some sort of disruption again next turn. So cracking the Terrarion kind of digs for another copy of Clan Ironworks, while also just like, giving you fuel for later turns. Normally you would want to keep these artifacts on the battlefield when you cast Ironworks. You have a big explosive turn.
And he's going to play 2 of them now in Terrarian and Chromatic Star. So we're going to head back over to Fabiano now, who's going to reveal a copy of Tarmogoyf. Gerard going to fall down to 15. Nice thing here for Gerard is that he can really use his life total as a resource. Not really too concerned on what's going on that front, because Jessup's not really going to kill him with regular damage most games. Gerard will, though. He's going to kill Jessup by dealing him 20 points of damage. Maybe more than that because of Inventor's Fair. So here comes Dark Confidant, and Fabiano going to sacrifice this for Catacombs and dig a land up and make a play here in just a moment.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Liliana of the Veil to come down and kind of pressure Andrew's hand every single turn. Getting down an early Liliana of the Veil is crucial against these combo decks in Modern. He also gets to turn like excess lands into potentially +1s that force his opponent to discard important cards. A lot of times when you have a Dark Confidant going, you're just flush with resources, and you're fine trading these excess lands that you draw off of it for your opponent's spells.
Liliana of the Veil will come down here for Fabiano. It will plus Inventor's Fair and Raging Ravine, the discards there for each player, as now we head back over to Andrew Jessup. I imagine he has a 3rd land to play. If not, I wouldn't be shocked if he finds one, given the Terrarian and the Chromatic Star that are on the battlefield. Curious to see how he wants to go about using these artifacts. Keep in mind, of course, that he does have a copy of Clan Ironworks in hand. We saw that from the Thoughtseize at the early stages of the game. Ichor Wellspring will come down. It'll allow Jessup to draw a card.
Yeah, here I think Andrews has to fade a Thoughtseize next turn and cast Ironworks and hope for the best. He still wants to kind of mitigate a potential for getting hit with a Thoughtseize, though, cycling maybe 1 or 2 of the artifacts in order to find a redundant copy of the Clan Ironworks.
Yeah, you mentioned Thoughtseize. It's a card that Fabiano's playing 2 copies of. He actually has more copies of Inquisition of Kozilek than Thoughtseize. 3 Inquisitions to 2 Thoughtseizes, and he's already got his Liliana on the battlefield. Jessup did crack that Chromatic Star for green mana, so here's an Ancient Stirrings. And that looks like it's going to find Clan Ironworks. So, Todd, you are doing a nice job of predicting the future as usual. Another Clan Ironworks means that Jessup is Thoughtseize-proof here.
Yeah, but he doesn't have it wrapped up by any means. Gerard can draw Nihil Spellbomb here. Even that Kolaghan's Command could buy him an extra turn if you killed the Ironworks in response to one of the triggers from the sacrifice artifacts. The problem is with the backup copy in hand, he can cast another one pretty easily.
Fabiano going to come across for 2 here with the Dark Confidant. The reveal was Kolaghan's Command as Fabiano falls down to 9. The draw step was a copy of Maelstrom Pulse, not ideal in the matchup, as you can see what Maelstrom Pulse can target right now.
Yeah,
not great.
All of these artifacts replace themselves, except for Karklan Ironworks. So, but normally when your opponent casts Karklan Ironworks, they're going off that turn, generally speaking.
So Fabiano's got to take a look at the hand. We know there's a Tarmogoyf over there. We've mentioned the Kolaghan's Command and how that can play a role in things moving forward. The Pulse, not so much. Also a Lightning Bolt hanging out there, and do remember that he has not activated Liliana of the Veil just yet. He's reaching for that die, though, thinking about moving the elevator up to 5. And I imagine he's probably going to discard Maelstrom Pulse to the Liliana as Gerard thumbs through the cards in his hand.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a question. He's just trying to figure out the rest of his plays for the turn because he has a choice between holding up Kolaghan's Command or casting Tarmogoyf and applying more pressure. If he casts the Tarmogoyf, he's basically putting the shield down for Andrew. Since we know deckless, Andrew is aware that there are no 1-mana spells that really interact with this combo other than Lightning Bolt on a Scrap Trawler, which can be very easily played around or mitigated.
Chromatic Star will be the discard there for Andrew Jessup. Maelstrom Pulse, predictably, the discard there for Fabiano to Liliana the Veil. Fabiano closes out the turn with a Raging Ravine. For Jessup, it's an island. I think he's preparing to deploy the Ironworks, and he will. Remember, he does have another copy in hand, and Gerard has left up 3 mana conveniently to play Kolaghan's Command, so if I'm Andrew right now, I've got access to deck list, obviously, and so you can put a range of cards that Gerard has here, right? You can think to yourself, he's got Kolaghan's Command, I've already seen it. He can play a removal spell, like Lightning Bolt, and Assassin's Trophy. He can play those 2 spells in one turn, or it could be a Bolt and Assassin's Trophy, or, Bolt or Fatal Push and Assassin's Trophy, and Kolaghan's Command. So can Andrew beat those cards, is the question. And I imagine the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, he is a little low on total amount of food for the Karklan Ironworks. He didn't draw any copies of Darksteel Citadel this game. He has yet to draw a Mox Opal. So even if he has a Scrap Trawler, he doesn't have a 0-mana artifact to really go off with it yet. And we're not even 100% that he has a Scrap Trawler in hand.
Mm-hmm.
The Liliana of the Veil is slowly ticking up for faster and faster, just trying to hit that ultimate so you can take care of half of the permanents on Andrew Jessup's side. And Gerard is doing a good job of just using the resources at his disposal to do his best to disrupt Andrew.
So Andrew's going to start by sacrificing Ichor Wellspring. The draw's on the stack, and that's why you see Andrew pausing here, and Gerard is certainly thinking about if he wants to play this Kolaghan's Command now, or does he wait?
Yeah, if he targets it now, Andrew's just certainly going to sacrifice the Karklan Ironworks and just cast the other one from his hand.
Next up.
Now, even though you see the Darksteel Citadel in Andrew's hand, I'm fairly confident he's already played a land this turn.
He has.
So he's going to be unable to use that for excess mana.
He's going to go down to 1 mana floating as he deploys another Terrarian. See if Fabiano wants to respond here. And that's why you see Andrew always kind of looking up in Gerard and saying, here's my spell. Do you want to respond? So on and so forth. Fabiano says, okay, this is what's on the battlefield. And it's very clear right now that Gerard is trying to pick his spot with this Kolaghan's Command. And this isn't easy to do. That's what makes this deck so powerful is, yeah, you would think, right, well, I've got a Shatter for the artifact spell. This shouldn't be that hard. Well, it's all about timing.
Yep.
And is this the right time to do it? As Jessup's going to respond by sacrificing Terrarian. And Jessup will draw a card. And now he will sacrifice Karklan Ironworks. So he's up to 5 colorless. He'll discard a Darksteel Citadel because the modes on Kolaghan's Command were destroy target artifact and make you discard. Gerard incentivized, of course, to make Andrew keep losing cards.
Right.
With Liliana going. And now there's the other Ironworks. We knew about that.
Yeah, but Andrew's only down to 1 card in hand. Luckily he drew the Scrap Trawler so he can sacrifice the Terrarian and cast it, but he's out of stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
He has 1 card left in hand. It looks like he drew another land. Now Gerard here has the option to minus to take care of Scrap Trawler, which just gets Andrew back an Ichor Wellspring for next turn. But if Gerard finds a way to destroy this other Karklan Ironworks, Andrew's out of gas.
Yeah. And we know Gerard has Bolt in hand.
Right.
So he's got a way to take care of... He's got multiple ways to take care of the Scrap Trawler. That and Liliana, of course. But now does Andrew have a way to continue going? Like, he's out of mana, but he's going to sacrifice the Scrap Trawler.
Oh, I love this play. It's so aggressive.
Get back Ichor Wellspring. Deploy Ichor Wellspring. Drew another copy of Ironworks. Okay. Do you sacrifice the Wellspring and try to keep going?
I have no idea. Andrew's just gambling, man. I love it. Because, I mean, he has to hit, like, a pretty nice chain here, but if he hits it, he gets to go off. And he's under a lot of duress here from this Liliana threatening ultimate pretty soon, as well as the Raging Ravine plus Dark Confidant just slowly pushing towards ending the game.
Verdant Catacombs was revealed to Dark Confidant, so Fabiano is going to stay at 9. Here's what's interesting now, as the Dark Confidant comes over. So you and I talked last turn about, okay, well, the discard's probably going to be Maelstrom Pulse. Pretty obvious, not great in this matchup, not great what was on the battlefield. If I was Gerard, I'd kind of want a Maelstrom Pulse right now.
Yeah,
Right?
that's absolutely true. Maelstrom Pulse here would take care of that Ironworks and kind of lock it up here for Gerard on his side of things, or at least put him in a position where he's very likely to win. You know, sorcery speed things aren't usually very good. The Kolaghan's Command kind of put a wrench in Andrew Jessup's works last turn, though. Just hit him at just the right spot, so he wasn't left with any food on the battlefield once Andrew actually drew the Scrap Trawler.
I do think Gerard did a nice job of picking a spot with that Kolaghan's Command in response to the Terrarian, as Jessup may have been able to generate too much mana if the Terrarian resolved. So now Gerard's going to thumb through the graveyard, get an idea of what Jessup is working with. Not sure if he finally found one of those Nile Spellbombs or not, but it doesn't look like it. Picked up another copy of Liliana the Veil, and now Fabiano's got some thinking to do. Tarmogoyf, Lightning Bolt, Liliana, and Verdant Catacombs. That's the hand as Fabiano's going to discard, as will Jessup. Liliana will go to the graveyard. Force will go to the graveyard there for Andrew J. The next up is the Lurgoyf.
All right. Well, if Andrew draws a Scrap Trawler here, he has a chance to do some pretty degenerate stuff. Gerard has a Lightning Bolt to kind of slow that part down, but there's an Inventor's Fair on Andrew's side, so it could get really hairy.
Good point on the Inventor's Fair. I actually kind of missed that that was in the row, along with the island, the forest, and the Yavimaya coast. Needs another artifact to be able to break the Inventor's Fair, though. Curious to see. Now, I think you
Spine of Ishsa was
drew
the
the
draw.
spine. That's timely.
So if he draws a 1-mana artifact that sacrifices to Ironworks, he can cast it without sacrificing the Ironworks.
He's going to sacrifice the Ichor Wellspring.
A land here also does it.
Didn't get a great look at what Andrew drew off the Wellspring, but Todd, I'll ask you this in the interim. If he's able to cast the spine, what are you blowing up?
You have to blow up the Liliana. It's going to take away half of your permanence.
Okay.
And that's just a little too much on the resource battle. Yes, the Tarmogoyf is looming, but it's 2 points short of lethal right now outside of Gerard having Lightning Bolt, which he does. So I think if he goes for the Spine of Ishsa, taking care of the Liliana the Veil, there's a good chance he dies if Gerard just finds a land or fires off the Lightning Bolt end of turn.
Okay, new fun question. Ready for this one? Let's say that Andrew Jessup drew Engineered Explosives off of that cantrip.
X equals 2.
Yeah?
Always. Keep your life alive. You can lose lands as long as you take away all the pressure. I think that if you have a one-shot, you take care of the Liliana. If you have a way to deal with 2 things. Yeah. He's attacking the Ironworks. This is tough. He must have had a really bad draw.
So the Engineered Explosives thing is interesting because if you play it for 2 and blow it up, then the Liliana still gets to go off. Here's the spine, though. Spine time. Goodbye, Liliana.
Yeah, that's going to spell doom for Andrew in this game 1 here.
Well, he's in some trouble now because there's a large Tarmogoyf out there. 6-7, that's 6, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's a bolt. That should be game, yeah. Bolt you. Attack with my Raging Ravine, my Tarmogoyf, and my Dark Confidant, and that'll take care of it. So Gerard Fabiano is going to win game number 1 here over Andrew Jessup. Jund up a game over Ironworks. It's that combination, right? We talk about that all the time. A little bit of pressure, a little bit of discard, timely artifact removal spell. Andrew Jessup couldn't overcome it.
Yeah, and I think that just really goes to show how good Jund is at hitting you on multiple fronts. We saw Kolaghan's Command not only hit an Ironworks that was in play that kind of disrupted Andrew mid-comboing, but it also took a card out of his hand. And that combined with the 2 or 3 tick-ups from Liliana the Veil, as well as an early Thoughtseize, and just the pressure of Dark Confidant early, is just enough to get the job done. Just squeaked it by.
Gerard Fabiano getting ready here for game number 2, as is Andrew Jessup. Already shuffling because do remember it is a pre-sideboard game for game number 2, so they won't go to the drawing board just yet. So while they're working on that, we'll talk about the StarCityGames.com YouTube page, where you can see a whole bunch of fun stuff, like the Versus Series and Versus Live replays. That, of course, is with Todd Anderson, Brad Nelson, and Ross and Merriam having fun every Tuesday and Thursday.
Guests.
On occasion, we try to float in a BBD or a Corey Baumeister if we can.
Or you.
Maybe.
Next week.
Maybe.
Oh, did I spoil it? Oh, crap.
Maybe
I spoiled
on
it.
Tuesday, maybe. Commander Versus with Justin Parnell, Jonathan Suarez, Stephen Green, and Jeremy Knoll. Flashback series, been a lot of fun this year that we've done, of course, with Todd and Brad and Ross and Jim Davis. And then, of course, we've got the best of SCG Tour and SCG Tour replays, a whole bunch more coming out in 2019. Subscribe today at youtube.com/StarCityGames. Become one of over 150,000 subscribers. And we want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing to our YouTube page, where you can watch the replay of this entire tournament and this match between Gerard Fabiano and Andrew Jessup. Jund and Ironworks should be a close one. Jund, I know Jay Dean, of course, our Jund aficionado here at Star City Games, wasn't loving Jund in Baltimore. Gerard pretty happy with his build, though. Maybe the Nile Spellbombs is what cracked the code.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've done some serious work for Gerard. Graveyard-based strategies are generally pretty tough for Jund outside of drawing the errant scavenging ooze here or there. And I think these Nile Spellbombs are going a long way, not only to pump Tarmogoyf so it actually applies a little pressure, but give you a bit of a bite in matchups where you might normally not be favored.
Andrew Jessup will be on the play here this game. He's had a great tournament. It's been up and down affair for him, however, with a 9-0 start into a 9-4 record in which he had to win every match after that and have his tiebreakers hold up. They did just enough, so he slid into 8th place. Congratulations to him on that. And then winning his match against Marshall Arthurs in pretty short order, 3-0, picking up his first loss of the day here against his pal Gerard Fabiano, looking at his opening hand, getting ready here for game number 2.
Yeah, I think if you're Andrew Jessup in this matchup, you know that John is going to hit you with some discard spells. Your range of keeps is going to be a little higher than normal. For an Ironworks pilot, your range of keeps is already pretty high. You have a lot of cards that cycle. The only hands I would really mulligan is something probably like 4 or 5 lands, and then maybe 1 or 2 spells. So that's about it. Maybe if you have 3 Mox Opals in your opening hand, but sometimes you just get to do some really disgusting stuff when you have multiple Mox Opals, so who knows?
It can be completely ridiculous, to be sure. Fabiano, going to take a look at 6 cards here in just a moment. You can add another invitational top 8 to his resume for the 35-year-old from Belleville, New Jersey. 11 open top 8s, 5 open wins, and this will be a 4th invitational top 8. Most Planeswalker points of anyone in the United States. Former anti-smoking Truth Tour marketer. He's a high school teacher by day, and he's a Jund Magic player, I suppose, in the afternoons and at night.
If you want to see a very interesting video of Gerard Fabiano, I believe he was involved in a local anti-bullying campaign ad.
He's been known to rap.
Yeah.
Rap it.
There was an anti-bullying rap, and I believe it's on YouTube, but I'm not 100%. So if you just type Gerard Fabiano anti-bully rap, I'm pretty sure.
Nothing leaves the internet. It's up there.
Yeah, you can find it somewhere.
Do keep in mind that at the conclusion of this event, as we've just tweeted out right now, you can, of course, join us and watch this, and then a little cube action with myself, Todd Anderson, Matthias, Ryan, Nick, and the rest of the SCG Tour crew. So we hope you're gearing up to take a look at the 10K Cube Championship. We're able to get those 8 players here as well.
They're going to have to pry that cube trophy from my cold, I was going to say cold dead hands,
just cold
but
hands.
Just my very cold hands. This is a snowpocalypse.
Another little widget out there for Andrew Jessup. He's got 3 of them: Chromatic Sphere, Chromatic Star, and a Terrarian.
That's a nice little word, widget.
Yeah. Right? Those are all the setup for the big widget in Clan Ironworks.
Speaking of widgets,
we
have Cardboard Live.
Yeah, we do.
If you notice, if you hover over the screen, you can check out this new extension that we're using from our friends over at Cardboard Live, and that lets you see deck lists while we're playing. We also have what is it? There's a bunch of stuff on. I don't actually know. I haven't taken a look at this newer one that we've made for this particular broadcast.
For this one, kind of just some normalized stuff. Nothing too crazy going on.
I know there's a copy to clipboard thing, so if you see a deck list you like, you get to copy it and you can paste it in MTG Arena, something, or Magic Online. You know, if you want to go to your favorite website like StarCityGames.com and copy paste that deck list in Star City Games Deck Builder.
Smart.
You can buy your deck right now.
And there's player profiles hanging out in there as well. So big shout to our friends over at Cardboard Live as Andrew Jessup is going to sacrifice a chromatic sphere, a little green mana. Perhaps it's time to stir it up. As now Spellbomb has joined the fray here for Gerard Fabiano. He's all Thoughtseize. Take a Scrap Trawler.
For those of you who are like me and enjoy watching Twitch on your phone, this is one of the few extensions that actually works on mobile.
That's right.
If you click the little puzzle piece icon, that'll give you access to Cardboard Live on your phone.
It's the future of Magic coverage, bringing it to you here all day long. Now, Mr. Jessup, what's next? Time to sacrifice another one of these widgets? Terrarian? 2 green? And draw a card. Grove of the Burn Willows. Looks like what the draw was. Ichor Wellspring in Andrew Jessup's hand here, so he can play that if he'd like, and he will. So Ichor Wellspring will come down. No mana floating. Draw another card. Now, again, just like the last game, that means there's only one Thoughtseize left here in Gerard's deck. He's got 3 Inquisitions, 2 Thoughtseizes, 5 discard spells total, and now there's a Mind Stone. Jessup will pass the turn back. So it's all set up right now as we're going to head back over to Gerard Fabiano.
Yeah, Mind Stone's actually one of the few artifacts that the Jund deck will gladly blow up with a Kolaghan's command while the opponent is tapped out.
Scavenging Ooze and a Raging Ravine means that Fabiano has made his play, but he is all tapped out. Now, he's got the Nile Spellbound to interact with the graveyard, but does Jessup have the necessary tools to actually go for it here? Because the shields are completely down outside of that Spellbomb, and we know that Jessup, he doesn't really have much difficulty beating 1 graveyard removal spells. Here's an Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, and he has yet to play a land here, so if he hits a Carcon Ironworks off this Ancient Stirrings, he can play the land from hand, cast it, and then I believe he also has a Scrap Trawler in hand that he drew earlier, so we might see him try to go off this turn. It might be a little difficult starting with such little food for-said Ironworks, but you know, anything's possible, and I've seen the Ironworks deck win from much tougher spots.
And this continues to be the problem here in these games, though, is because Gerard continues to interact, Todd, the amount of food that Andrew Jessup has, it just isn't as much as he had against, let's say, Marshall Arthur's last round.
Right, and I mean, we saw Andrew Jessup just win lightning fast games because just the lack of overall interaction. But something as innocuous as a single discard spell can sometimes reduce your closing speed from something like Ironworks by 2, maybe 3 turns.
It'll be Scrappy T there, and Scrap Trawler added to Andrew Jessup's hand from the Ancient Stirrings. This is a Grove of the Burn Willows. The follow-up is that Scrap Trawler. Curious to see how long that'll be hanging out, as now Mind Stone is going to be cashed in here by Andrew Jessup, and Jessup is going to target something in his graveyard with the Scrap Trawler trigger, and this is testing Fabiano to see if he actually wants to break the Nile Spellbomb or not.
Yeah, if I'm Fabiano, I don't mind popping the Spellbomb here. You take away a Chromatic Star from Andrew Jessup. He still gets to draw a card off the Mind Stone for sure, but the graveyard is now clean. So if he has a Lightning Bolt or something, which is still in his deck, because this is game 1, he can just target Scrap Trawler and there's nothing to get back.
Yeah, this is Jund we're talking about here, folks. I'd be shocked if he didn't have some sort of removal spell to kill that Scrap Trawler. Heck, even the Maelstrom Pulse would do just fine right now.
Yeah, and you can't be greedy when it comes to Jund. Like, normally you want to try to wait for that Nile Spellbomb to have black mana to draw a card, but Gerard is very light on black mana right now, and light on mana overall. So I don't think he has the time to spend that black mana to draw a card right this sec.
Assassin's Trophy is going to take care of the Scrap Trawler. Nothing for the Scrap Trawler to bring back, as Fabiano already activated the Nile Spellbomb. An island is what Jessup will search up. That island will enter the battlefield untapped from the Assassin's Trophy, and Gerard will continue to move forward.
Yeah, I think Andrew would be very happy drawing something like his 1 Psymaster Thopterus or his 1 Spine of Ishsaw. Either of these cards are pretty good draws. He still has another Scrap Trawler in hand, so Ironworks is the nut, but any of those cards will do.
Another Raging Ravine, and now it looks like Scavenging Ooze is going to take care of old Scrappy T, and here comes the Ooze for 3. Jessup's going to fall down to 17. Gerard's shields, again, are completely down, but Jessup has no graveyard to work with, no widgets on the battlefield, really. You're not going to see any Chrome Stars, Spheres, or Terrarians out here. But we have seen Ironworks go off from a base like this before. That's what makes the deck so darn scary, and he's tapping 4 mana right now, so it might be go time.
Yeah, I mean, Gerard needed to main phase that Scavenging Ooze targeting the Scrap Trawler because the Buried Ruin threatened to get it back. I like the play, but yes, his shields are down. It seems like Andrew has all the necessary tools to go off. Once you start getting the mana markers, I think that's enough.
We've seen this before. If he's a reaching, we might be reaching for the sideboards.
If he's reaching, he's about to be teaching.
Yeah.
You how it's done. That was the.
Oh, I get it. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Mox Opal, the first one to go to the graveyard. Up to 2 colorless mana. What comes next here for Jessup? That's old Scrappy T.
Yeah, he wants to try to hold up this Buried Ruin, but if he had a 1-mana artifact, I think it's worthwhile just to generate such an excess amount of mana.
Well, he drew a 1-mana artifact, but now he's going to be looping in and out Mox Opals. He's going to generate a lot of mana. Mox is going to tap for a green, get sacrificed there to the Ironworks, so it's up to 3 colorless and a green as he plays a Chromatic Sphere.
Just want to point out.
Yes, sir.
Thoughtseize.
Oh, yeah.
Clock on 2.
Oh, yeah.
Or sorry, Clock on 3.
Clock on 3.
He played it on 3.
Yep.
Nile Spellbomb.
Mm-hmm.
Assassin's Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
And a Scavenging Ooze eating the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
This is like turn 4.
I ain't gonna do it.
Turn 5.
I ain't
turn 5.
I ain't gonna do it. You're gonna have to come a little hard. You got to come a little hard in that, Todd. Okay.
Yeah. This is decks like Ironworks is what makes me want to play Infect in like every tournament. But then I play against like Brad playing Jeskai Control, and I'm like, what am I? Why?
You brought rock. Brad brought paper.
Yeah, and this is scissors.
Yes, it is.
Cutting them up.
Big pair of scissors.
Big scissors, cutting them up.
3 colors, 2 blue.
You want to handle this? I'm
happy to handle this.
We got pizza.
I understand. Domino's delivering no matter what the weather. Okay.
They do not pay them enough.
Is Domino's better or worse than Jimmy John? Easy, Domino. I mean, Domino's is horrible, but big shout out to them for delivering. And if Jimmy John's was the only option that would have been open today in this snowstorm, I would not have eaten.
There's a
foregone food.
There's currently 7 inches of snow, and they are delivering.
Oh yeah, Domino's always open. Kidding me? Somebody's got this is prime time for Domino's.
All right,
nothing's open.
Okay, we are currently explaining.
I ain't explained nothing.
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Andrew said, all your stuff's dead, you're dead. Let's move on. Gerard said, all right, you're right. Let's move on indeed. Andrew Jessup going to tie things up here against Gerard Fabiano. Ironworks taking care of Jund. We all tied up as we get ready here for the sideboard. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll get ready for game number 3. Fulminator Mage, there's 3 of them. 2 Chandra Torture Defiance, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Grim Lavamancer, 2 Blood Moon. Life goes on. Yeah, it sure does. Oh, that's a card. Spellbomb, Thoughtseize, and a Leyline of the Void. Those are the 15 Gerard's working with. What do you like?
Yeah, I think anything that interacts with the graveyard here is okay. Stuff like Leyline of the Void is fine. I'm not sure how I feel about Blood Moon. Turning off things like Buried Ruin and Inventor's Fair can occasionally buy you some time, but I think it will affect Gerard pretty much the same as it would affect Andrew, if not worse, especially if he's unable to draw a fetch line to go get green mana or black mana early in the game. I like the Nile Spellbomb. I like the Thoughtseize. Other than that, his sideboard is really built to interact with like weird creatures, like you want Anger of the Gods against things like Dredge or humans. You want Grim Lavamancer against decks where they just produce a lot of cheap creatures. And not a whole lot of stuff is for this matchup in particular.
Other side of things here for Andrew J. 4 Nature's Claim, 2 Galvanic Blast, 2 Lightning Bolt, 2 Negate, 2 Psy Master Thopterus to go along with the one he has main deck. A Fire Spout, a Swan Song, and a Tormod's Crypt. What are we looking at here?
Personally, I've never been a huge fan of cards like Negate or Counterspells in general against Thoughtseize decks, or Thoughtseize Tarmogoyf decks. Like a lot of times, if you're relying on something like Negate to stop a Liliana of the Veil or some piece of disruption, your opponent is just going to hit you with a discard spell and either leave it stranded in your hand or take it from you before it has any real value. And the turns where it's stuck in your hand, it just doesn't really do much of anything, and you can't really afford that in Modern. I like being proactive. I like Psy Master Thopterus as an alternate win condition type card, as well as just a way to generate a lot of card advantage and produce a lot of blockers. Other than that, maybe some Galvanic Blast to keep the Dark Confidence and check, since those can bury you. But also, a Galvanic Blast can kill a Leyline of the Veil that comes in and ticks up, which is hugely important in a lot of scenarios. But I think that's about it from Andrew Jessup's side. The one of Leyline of the Void, I want to point this out, the one of Leyline of the Void and Gerard Fabiano sideboard could be such a threat for Andrew Jessup that if Gerard draws it, and Andrew doesn't have something like Nature's Claim to destroy it, it could just dominate the entire game. It just turns off so many of Andrew's cards. So that fear could force him to board in a bunch of Nature's Claims that are otherwise dead. But I think that Andrew is a heads-up enough player and a smart enough player to know that, well, if Gerard draws that Leyline of the Void, I'm going to lose. So just don't have the Nature's Claims in your deck and take the beats when they come.
Well, these players are going to go over the sideboard so you can get ready for what should be a very interesting and important game number 3. So, as they do that, we're going to hear from our friends over at Ultimate Guard. Alrighty, everybody. Game number 3 about to be underway here between Gerard Fabiano and Andrew Jessup. Keep in mind, after this, we're going to watch Austin Collins do battle against Evan Whitehouse. That'll be Ironworks versus Dredge. And then oh, he had it. Jeez. When you're running good, you're running good. And now Inquisition. Okay.
Gerard here actually... Oh, this is actually pretty sweet. Gerard actually, I'm pretty sure, has a Chandra Torch of Defiance in hand, which is a pretty good answer to the 4 toughness Psy Master Thopterus.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're taking a look at Andrew's hand now. Chromatic Star, Engineered Explosives, Chromatic Sphere, Scrap Trawler. There's the Psy, Darksteel Citadel, and a Grove of the Burn Willows. So Gerard's got that one leyline on the board, and he's spiked it.
Yeah, this Leyline of the Void shuts on all of the mana rocks that trigger when they go to the graveyard. It does not count Chromatic Sphere, but it does count Chromatic Sphere, Terrarion, and Ichor Wellspring. That's kind of the backbone of the deck. If he didn't board in Nature's Claim, he's going to have to find a way to get Engineered Explosives up to X equals 4 in order to get that Leyline of the Void off the battlefield. Or he's going to have to draw a redundant copy of Psy Master Thopterus, because Gerard just took the one that was in his hand.
And this is going to be pretty difficult here for Andrew Jessup. You mentioned that Leyline of the Void, how this could come up. There's only one. Is he supposed to board in some number of Nature's Claims? Tough to say. But we'll find out as this game continues to unfold. It's a Chromatic Sphere there for Jessup. It's a Thoughtseize here for Fabiano, so discard aplenty. Take a look at the hand again. Go over the Burn Willows, Chromatic Star.
I mean, this is what Jund does best. You know, you put up some type of thing that messes with your opponent's overall game plan, whether that's Layla of the Void, use things like Fulminary Mage to blow up their lands, and, you know, hit them with a discard spell. And then you play basically any creature, and it gets the job done.
Engineered Explosives still in hand. Ancient Stirrings is what went to the graveyard as we head back over to Andrew Jessup. Fabiano off to a great start here. The thing he's missing is a little bit of pressure. It's that combination of disruption and pressure that leads to so many wins for Jund. He's got one piece of the puzzle. Doesn't have the other yet, does Fabiano. Does have a copy of Bloodbraid Elf in hand, though, so the pressure is going to be coming a little bit late. This is a Chromatic Star, an Inventor's Fair, and Fabiano will sacrifice Bloodstained Mire on the end step.
Curiously, Gerard actually didn't main phase a fetch land and cast his Nile Spellbomb. Normally, Nile Spellbomb would get turned off by something like a Leyline of the Void, but Leyline of the Void is one-sided. So all of these cards in Gerard's graveyard are in his graveyard. The Nile Spellbomb will trigger, no matter who he targets with the ability. And he could have just used that mana, you know, efficiently last turn, so that you could cycle the Spellbomb in this turn and maybe draw into something worthwhile to cast.
No, Fabiano may be holding that for a reason. We'll find out. If there's actually a copy of Chandra, there's Nile Spellbomb. Crack that. Take care of the graveyard. That's already been taken care of. Play a Raging Ravine. Pass the turn back. So maybe Fabiano was missing a third land. Either way, problem solved as we head back over to Jessup. He'll gain a life from Inventor's Fair. We're going to keep on rolling here. Can he defeat Fabiano without a graveyard? He's going to start by sacrificing a Chromatic Sphere. Pick up a copy of Clan Ironworks.
Yeah, it looks like Andrew's just... I don't know. He's up the creek without a paddle. I'll say the PG version.
It's tough. It's tough right now.
Now these chromatic spheres are actually cycling. They do not trigger once they go to the graveyard. Their draw ability is built into the produce mana effect.
Inventor's Fair will gain Jessup another life. He's up to 22. He'll draw a card. He's got Scrap Trawler and Ironworks in hand. The problem is that stinking Leyline of the Void still out there. Fabiano's hand right now is a little bit more expensive as he deployed a Scavenging Ooze with green mana available. He's looking at Bloodbraid Elf and Chandra Torch of Defiance at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew does have a line here at some point. He has he has Engineering Explosives in hand. He has 2 artifacts in play that can produce different colors of mana, and he has, I believe, 2 copies of Grows of Burn Willow, 1 in play and 1 in hand. So this turn, he could just go for the Gusto and just play Engineering Explosives on X equals 4.
Right, cross his fingers a little bit, hope it survives for the turn, blow up the ley line. That could be a line here. However, he's going to start by sacrificing Chromatic Sphere and drawing a card.
Now, if I'm wrong and he doesn't have another land in hand like a Grove of the Burn Willows, then this is just going to be bad news bears for him.
He's going to stir it up now. We'll see exactly what he finds off of the Ancient Stirrings. Forest is the first card he took a look at. There's a Darksteel Citadel in there. It looks like another copy of Stirrings and an Ironworks. He's going to consult his hand first before making the selection.
I was incorrect. Apologies.
That's okay.
I believe he has a Spine of Ishsa in hand.
He does have that.
Is technically an answer to Leyline of the Void, but he's a little ways off from casting it right now.
Man, it looks like 2 turns down the road potentially for the Spine. Let's see here for Andrew. He's going to select a... he was thinking Basic Forest. Now he's thinking Yavimaya Coast, because that'll give him a blue mana. In combination with Grove of the Burn Willows, plural, in case he has another one, he can get a little bit closer to Sunburst 4 on that Engineered Explosives, which might be the winning combination. Next up, Explosives on 2. So he wants to take care of the Scavenging Ooze.
Oh, appealed Kolgan's command from Gerard here. That's going to take care of the explosives when Andrew is short a mana of being able to activate it. And it's also probably going to knock a card out of Andrew's hand.
And the struggle is real here for Jessup. Ding, ding. Kolgan's command so powerful in the right matchups. This is certainly one of them. Explosives will get blown up. Scrap Trawler will be discarded. Both those cards will go to exile. We head back over to Jessup. Doesn't even get to gain a life from Inventor's Fair. Doesn't have 3 artifacts anymore.
Yeah, this is Gerard really just putting on a Jund clinic here, showing exactly what Jund can do as far as disruption is concerned.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Master Thopterus. Does Fabiano draw land number 4? It doesn't look like he does. Here comes Santa Claus in for 2.
Yeah, Gerard has 2 copies of Chandra Torch of Defiance and a Bloodbraid Elf in his hand. 2 of those which can answer the Master Thopterus immediately, but fails to draw the 4th mana.
So Sai's on the battlefield now. along with a Chromatic Star, as Jessup falls down to 16. Gain a little bit of life from the Inventor's Fair, do remember. And now, it looks like it might be time to deploy Clan Ironworks. Remember, Jessup is doing this without a graveyard. Makes things extra difficult for him. Playing that Ironworks allows him to make a Thopter token. Of course, Thopters can be sacrificed to the Ironworks to generate some mana, and we know that he has a copy of Spine of Ishsa in his hand.
Yeah, if he wants to right now, he can sacrifice Darksteel Citadel, Thopter, and the Chromatic Star to cast Spine of Ishsa with the Forest in hand. Blow up the Leyline of the Void.
Looks like he's going to hold off, though. Has Fabiano found land number 4? It looks like he did, but it enters the battlefield tapped. It's a Blackcleave Cliffs.
That's rough. Now, Andrew has an option here. Should I block? That's a really good question. And Gerard not attacking with the Scavenging here means that he probably doesn't have access to something like Lightning Bolt to finish off the side.
Interesting. That's a little bit of information that Gerard is giving away in a spot like that. Fabiano will play that Blackcleave Cliffs and pass the turn back. To hand for Gerard, multiple copies of Chandra and Bloodbraid Elf. He'll be able to start deploying those soon. Well, maybe.
It might be a little too late. Andrew here, able to cast this Spine of Ishsa, generating a Thopter. He has enough artifacts on the battlefield right now to just recast it. He sacrifices the Spine, the Chromatic Star, and the Thopter. And that's 6. He doesn't have to cast it. Spine of Ishsa is a very powerful card that I used to use alongside Phyrexia's Core.
Oh, that's fun.
to sacrifice it. That was mirrored and block constructed.
So here we go. He's going to sacrifice Chromatic Star. That's going to net him 2 mana. Now he's going to deploy Ichor Wellspring, make another Thopter. So you see, this is the big innovation to this deck. It's funny to call it big because it's just a one-of, but the way this deck cycles and churns through itself, it's not hard to find. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target permanent. When Spine of Ishsa is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, however would they do that, return Spine of Ishsa to its owner's hand to cast again.
Yeah, and even though Andrew Jessup doesn't have access to a Scrap Trawler right now to go quote-unquote like infinite, he does have the ability to just generate a lot of Thopters, which in turn lets him sacrifice Spine of Ishsa, recast it, generate another Thopter, etc.
So now Jessup's going to have a whole bunch of fun. He's going to deploy a Chromatic Star. He's making a bunch of Thopters. And what's funny, right, is you think of Sai as this way to be able to maybe draw some cards, make some Thopters to chump block, buy some time, maybe get an attacks in the air and win the game. Now, the combination now of Ironworks, artifacts, and Spine along with Sai is going to allow him to go somewhat infinite and really start blowing up a whole bunch of permanents. So Andrew Jessup, have a blast as he's making a bunch of Nick Miller Thopter tokens. He'll sacrifice this for 2, blow up explosives, get these out of here. I suppose Fabiano will have a response with Scavenging Ooze. He's not going to give up just yet. See what artifacts he wants to remove from the graveyard.
Yeah, Andrew very, very cleanly taking care of the Scavenging Ooze and the Tarmogoyf, but also he unlocks his ability to rebuy Spine of Ishsa without getting it eaten by the Scavenging Ooze.
And, oh, don't forget that 1 point, baby.
Oh, yeah. If Andrew wants to right now, he could just sacrifice the Spine and 3 Thopters to just recast the Spine right now, getting another Thopter, taking care of something like Raging Ravine, or just shrinking one of Gerard's black sources of mana.
Looks like Chandra's going to come down and take care of Sai. And Chandra, as powerful as it is, it's going to take a lot more than that for Fabiano to win this game. As Jessup's going to untap, he'll gain a life from the Inventor's Fair. And I believe, with access to the graveyard, he can simply sacrifice a couple of things, activate Inventor's Fair, go get Scrap Trawler, and have a little fun.
Oh, yeah. This game is really fallen too far for Gerard, I think. Normally, you see Jund struggling to beat something like Lingering Souls plus Flashback. Side Master Thopterus does the same thing, except also you have to deal with an infinite combo. So it's pretty tough.
Gerard says we are all done here. Andrew Jessup starting things off with no graveyard, had his Sai taken by a discard spell, had a Stirrings taken by another discard spell. Not good enough. He wins this game. He's up 2-1 here in our semifinals.
I think that game was really a story of Gerard missing his 4th land drop for so long. If he was able to deploy that Chandra Torch of Defiance to kill Sai the turn it was cast, Andrew would not have had the food for the Clan Ironworks to come close to doing the degenerate stuff that he did.
Well, we take a look at the sideboards here once again. We know the Chandras are in. Wouldn't be surprised if the Fulminators are in here for Fabiano. Plenty of non-basics for him to be able to kill. Blood Moons, maybe yes, maybe no. That additional Nile Spellbomb, who knows? We know the ley lines in. He spiked it. Lost anyway, unfortunately. And then another copy of Thoughtseize. For Andrew, we talked about the Nature's Claims. You just saw the ley line. What do you do here? Do you want any now?
Well, I think you just beat it without Leyline, or without Nature's Claim, so might as well just run it back. He's only got one. We know deckless. It's not like he has 4 of them. If you had 4 Leyline of the Void and it was that problematic, sure.
Let's talk those tokens. Well, they're going to the drawing board a little bit, and this is going to give us a time to go over some fun stuff that we announced yesterday. We've got Star City Games personality tokens, and we want you to get yours this January and February. Now, this set of 5 is included with entry into any Star City Games Open or Classic, any StarCityGames.com order of $20 or more, or you collect your set by participating in SCGIQs. We do want to take a look at each one by one if we can, because we got bigger photos of these, I believe, if memory serves.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I love all of these so much.
Oh, Jerry T, a 1/1 lifelinker for those of you that are casting March of the Multitudes in your Selesnya token deck, like Zach Keeney, who had a great performance with that deck this weekend. Let's go to the next one. Bzzz.
Brad is a bug.
Now,
when I first saw this picture, I was just like, wait, is the bug like camouflaged to look like Brad? And Brad's like, no. I became the bug.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay.
He's creepy.
I guess.
He is.
That's not how nature works, but all right.
For those making tokens with Azoni, I believe, Brad Nelson's token will be very useful. Let's go to the next one. Jadine Klumperins, if you're a fan of Lingering Souls, Jadine is a great person to go to now.
Funny story, Jadine is actually the ghost of Bloodbraid Elf.
Ah.
And she has been destroyed by Valakut the Molten Pinnacle in 6 Mountains.
Oh, that's sad. Next one here, I believe it's Emma Handy. She'll be a 1/1 changeling. Emma Handy is every creature type. The last, but certainly not least, is Brian Gottlieb, who
Fastball special.
looks like he's throwing a squirrel at each and every one of us. All these tokens, again, will be available January and February. Entry into any Star City Games Open or Classic during our 2019 Season 1 SCG Tour dates. Any StarCityGames.com order of $20 or more, or you can collect your set by participating in StarCityGames.com invitational qualifiers. Emma, Brian, Jerry, Brad, Jadine. Fantastic tokens. Congrats to all 5 of you. As we're getting ready here for Fabiano and Jessup, game number 4. Give him the green light. Gerard will be on the play. He's got to win this one to keep this match going. And he'll start off things, no ley line, but a Verdant Catacombs falling down to at least 19. And I wouldn't be surprised if it were 17 here, because his life total is really not that much of a concern. Gerard's trying to find the right land to dig out of the old deck here. 3rd time's the charm, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's mostly true, but post-sideboard games get a little hairy sometimes against something like Psy, Master Thopterist. So while you don't care that much about your life total, it can come into play at some point.
Fabiano going to go with a Blood Crypt. It looks like it's going to enter the battlefield untapped, so it'll fall down to 17. And we will see him fire off here with, unsurprisingly, a discard spell. It'll be Thoughtseize.
Yep. Now going up to 3 of those after sideboard with 2 in the main and 1 in the side.
Handful of cards here for Jessup, pardon me. A couple of lands along with Psy, Master Thopter. It's hard not to want to take that one, especially when you're looking at Mox, Opal, Pyrite, Spellbound, Chromatic Star, and Terrarian. Not that those cards are bad, but we saw what Psy did last game.
Yeah, Psy is particularly tough for Gerard to beat, so much so that he's willing to board in something like Chandra, Torch of Defiance in this matchup, which would normally not be good against this combo deck from Andrew Jessup.
Psy, Master Thopterus will bite the dust. Fabiano will write down the contents again. It's an island, a grove of the burned willows, a Mox Opal, Pyrite Spellbomb, Chromatic Star, and Terrarian.
Yeah, one of the things that I like to note for players who are, let's say, new to playing something like Jund or a discard Tarmogoyf deck, when you hit your opponent with a discard spell, you have to look at their hand and you have to try to find the uniques. In Modern, there's a ton of redundancy. Like, you take a look at Andrew Jessup's hand. It's Terrarian, Chromatic Star, right? Those 2 cards, effectively the same thing as far as the overall game plan is concerned. The only unique cards in Andrew's hand were Mox Opal and Psy Master Thopter. So I think those 2, you just have to take the one that is the most detrimental to your game plan, but always look out for finding the unique card to take with the discard spell.
You saw there the Inquisition of Kozilek from Fabiano. The new card drawn from Andrew Jessup is a copy of Crackline Ironworks. Inquisition can't take that one. Thoughtseize can. So, Not to say that Gerard missed sequence, because that Inquisition may have been his draw step. It's just a little bit of bad luck there, as now Ironworks is in hand here for Andrew J.
Yeah, it looks like Gerard's hand actually had Psy in check a little bit, but the problem is even if you are able to take care of the Psy, when the turn Andrew plays it, sometimes he can go Mox Opal into 1 mana artifact and create like multiple Thopters that stick around even after you kill the Psy. Plus, Gerard doesn't want to just like sit on his heels when it comes to performing actions over the course of the next few turns. Like if he has 2 removal spells in hand for the Psy Master's Optus, he wants to be able to kill a future Psy as well.
Overgrown Tomb is what Fabiano will find off of the Bloodstained Mire. It will enter, the battlefield tapped, and then we'll head over to Gerard's third turn. Jessup here with the old Pyrite Spellbomb, Mox Opal Terrarian here. And perhaps Andrew's actually got more to do on this turn. Nope, we'll go back over to Gerard.
Yeah, I know he has Karklan Ironworks, and I'm not sure of his other card.
No third land here for Fabiano. Brutal, as he's got a Liliana in hand. It makes you wonder how much interaction he actually has in hand at this point, given that he only has 2 mana. Assassin's Trophy is an option, but if I'm Andrew Jessup, I'm feeling pretty good about things.
Yeah, Gerard's not putting any pressure on Andrew, so he just has so much time to find like his combo.
And this will be an Ancient Stirrings. Ichor Wellspring, the weapon of choice here for Jessup.
Yeah, here he's content to just, as you so eloquently put it, build his widgets, so that the turn he casts Karklan Ironworks, he can do some really gross stuff.
That's an Ichor Wellspring trigger. Jessup will draw a card. That's a Grove of the Burn Willows, and it might be showtime next turn. Fabiano's going to need a good draw, and Maelstrom Pulse is
not it.
That's not it. That's the direct opposite of a good draw. Jessup looks like he might cash in this Pirate Spellbomb on Fabiano's end step, thinking he doesn't really need this one. Would rather have a new card, and he'll take a new card, as now he'll untap, still with Metalcraft on the battlefield, the Mox, the Wellspring, the Terrarian, providing the artifacts necessary to tap the Mox for mana, which is what he's going to do now and deploy the namesake card of the deck.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he has a Scrap Trawler just yet, but he has a couple of draws off of the Terrarion and the Ichor Wellspring to find it. And even if he doesn't, he's under no duress from Gerard, so this is basically a free roll turn to kind of cycle through his deck a little more. And I was wrong. He actually does have... Wow! His draws have been so good here.
Yeah, not bad draws, that's for sure. Mox Opal, Gerard's going to respond with a copy of Assassin's Trophy. Andrew says, well, hold on a second. I got a little work to do here. Let me start by sacking Terrarion. Maybe I'll sacrifice Ichor Wellspring. Actually, do I want to sacrifice Ironworks, or do I want the land? He says I'll sacrifice it. Up to 6 mana. Now the Mox is in. No Metalcraft from the Mox just yet. I wonder if he'll be able to get to it. Oh, well.
I just has another Ironworks.
Never not have it, guy. There is a Karklan Ironworks.
Yep, and he still has a Scrap Trawler from earlier.
We are donezo.
Not quite. Again, this is not always game over when it comes to comboing off with Ironworks. It is very likely that Andrew's able to continue this chain, but if he just has a few lands on top of his deck, he's only really drawing like the next 3, maybe 4 cards of his deck. And if those are bad, all the mana in the world's not going to do anything.
Oh, honey.
The problem.
Honey, you're so optimistic.
This little card called Ancient Stirrings, which, screw you, buddy. Get out of here.
Honey, you're so optimistic that the game's going to get another turn. Aw, it was really nice, that whole speech. We're not playing another turn, Todd. We're not going to do that. Chromatic Star will be sacrificed here by Andrew.
It's not fair.
He's going to line up his graveyard. There's the 0, the 1, and the 2. He'll draw a card. Darksteel Citadel and Mox.
Fair.
He'll sacrifice a Mox. He's up to 7 colorless. Dude, think of it this way. Okay?
No, I'm not.
You will. Trust me.
Fine.
It's almost pizza time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it makes me so mad that people get to do this.
Instead of being upset, you know what the neat thing about Magic is? You can do this too.
Yeah, but the problem is this is not fun.
Oh, looks kind of fun to me. The wins are racking up here for Andrew J.
Yeah, sure. That's right. if you want to just talk about wins, sure. But I have tried to play the Ironworks combo deck multiple times on Versus Live and over the course of the history of the Versus series since its inception, and It is the least fun I've ever had playing with or against a deck. And I played against Michael Majors playing eggs.
Brutal.
Second Sunrise combo. I once left the room while he was comboing. I came back 10 minutes later. He was still comboing.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I fizzled.
It's your turn.
And then I had a turn, and then he killed me the next one.
Oh, okay.
You know,
You got to take advantage of every turn you get.
Yeah.
That's all that is. Andrew's still working his way through the deck. Let's see what this is. This will be a copy of Scrap Trawler now. So now there are 2 of those on the battlefield. He'll sacrifice a Scrap Trawler. 2 triggers. Going to return Ichor Wellspring and might be Terrarian time. Andrew organizes the graveyard a little bit more.
Chromatic Star, Terrarian are effectively the same thing in this scenario. You're just sacrificing them for colorless mana, returning, Mox Opal, drawing a card, generating some more mana. If he finds a Psi Master Thopterist, he can go off pretty easily. I mean, he's already going off, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Gerard leaning forward in the chair a little bit. I think he might be prepared to show him exactly what he had in his hand to try to interact in this game. But Fabiano couldn't find a third land. Credit to Gerard, as though he might get an extra turn in this game. I'm not sure it will matter. I do want to mention that this is another invitational top 8 for him. 4 on the resume now, 3 in a row, which is one heck of an accomplishment to be sure, as Jessup deploys Ichor Wellspring and will draw a card. But this combination of cards right now, look, we've got one Ironworks player in the finals. We might have another one here in Austin Collins, a 16-year-old from Kansas City who was barely able to make it here, but when he did, he won his match pretty quick, 3 games to 0. Yeah, he got out the broom. So I know we talked about it on our pregame shows, plural, here this weekend, but for those of you who think that this is totally fine, I'm not convinced that's true, because I'm not talking about the game anymore, because why would I be?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what's going on tonight? We have 7 inches of snow right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to continue snowing at the same rate until 6 p.m. tonight. There could be up to a foot, maybe more of snow.
Dope. Snow
Roanoke.
Angels, let's go.
I don't think Fetch is delivering. I don't think I want to drive because no one else knows how to drive in the snow. I drove here this morning.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I braved the snow.
Yeah.
For all you northern folk who want to throw your snow in my face, I did it, okay?
You did.
I
well, dude, we're going to Waffle House later.
But,
so.
I mean, if anything is open, I'll tell you this. If Waffle House is closed, nothing is open.
That's true. That is very true. Well, it appears as though Domino's is open, so if Domino's is open, Waffle House is cooking it up.
And it's not like our infrastructure here in Roanoke is bad. Once the snow stops coming down, that's usually when we get some salt on the road, and that's usually when we get all the plows out, and everything opens back up, and everyone has a fine time. But this morning, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., when players are supposed to try to show up for the events and everything, it's just dangerous, and it's not worth it. And and that's one of the reasons why we canceled the events, because it wasn't safe for any of the players. And I'm happy that we were able to bring y'all the coverage of the Invitational Top 8 as well as the Cube Draft later on. But personally, I kind of expected there to be like major postponement till like noon, maybe 1 o'clock. I'm surprised that we got it on time.
Hey, I'm glad we're able to make it work.
Oh yeah, for real.
As we get to watch Andrew Jessup keep doing his thing here,
we're still playing.
Oh yeah, we're still doing it. We're a couple copies
Let's
of
just
Chrome
come back
Star.
to the. Let's just bring it back
nope,
to the booth.
No way.
Not until Gerard claps his hands. It's over.
He will now do a little more of this Mox Opal action. What makes this deck so powerful, among many other things, is just it's playing some of those powerful cards in the format. Stirrings, it's the best Stirrings Mox deck. I don't think that's particularly close, and it's very, very hard to break up. I mean, you take a look at the games that Jessup has won here. That last one, I think, is the most impressive of the bunch. Starting with the ley line being disrupted, Scavenging Ooze able to go after the graveyard if the ley line gets destroyed, and discard spells still didn't matter.
Yeah, I want to point out, you just said it is the most powerful Stirrings Mox deck, implying that Stirrings and Mox are in multiple decks, and not just 2. There's like 3 or 4 decks that play Mox Opal and Ancient Stirrings. And sir,
no,
that is not fair. It's stupid.
Well, until they fix it.
They're not going to fix it. Everyone likes playing their Ensnaring Bridge deck, or their Hardened Scales Affinity deck, or their, I don't know, the other one.
Yeah.
There's there's the new blue one, the War of Invention deck that's been popping up recently.
Oh yeah, there are some of those.
But it's basically like Lantern without Lantern.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it has some amount of lanterns in it.
Spine of Ishah.
That's the one.
That's
the one that ends the game.
I like to eat all your things. 6, 12, 13, 14, plus 5 is 19. There's 21 mana floating here for Andrew. A couple of Moxes. Spine of Ish saw your things.
The Spine of Ish saw a May, and does it only target your opponent's stuff?
I don't know. Let's take a look at the spine.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
There you go.
Nope, you have to target something.
Mm-hmm.
So if he says infinite, he might accidentally blow up all his permanents.
I think he might be a little careful with that.
Well, you got to read it. Oh, you have to choose target. So I think once he blows up his own permanent the first time, he'll realize.
No moss.
No, we can't act. Yeah. That's not how that works. Okay.
I wouldn't want to demonstrate the loop. The thing is, he
can always target itself.
Well, the thing is, he needs to demonstrate the loop twice because Gerard has 2 permanents. So there's that, and that's going to take care of it. Andrew Jessup is going to win this game and match over Gerard Fabiano 3-1. Ironworks going to take care of Jund. And